Community, I think, is the best way that I can describe him, but certainly schools. He was sure to always email me when he thought that there might be a tree that has died and needed to be attended to. He was also one of our local contributing artists in Berryessa, very talented in the arts and often represented BCAC and our Berryessa community in public works art commissions, and just had a tremendous family history here in Berryessa and in the city of San Jose. So just to read a little bit about Ron and his background, he was a 2018 Citizen of the Year for BCAC. And his roots, as I mentioned, went deep into this area with his father, Clyde, leading the house band at the Palomar Ballroom, and also the land near the Hayes Mansion where his mom was raised. His linkage to our community included attending our local public schools, and after graduating from James Lick High School, he also entered San Jose City College and was a graduate of San Jose State University. And his spirit of volunteerism started young in his early adult life, and as I mentioned, went all the way up until his passing, because he was certainly here with us at our last board meeting in June, and still inquiring about our community and the good that we can do. So I just, in honor of his kindness and his generosity to Berryessa, if we could just please open with a moment of silence. Thank you, and again, we send our respects to the Appleby family and to his wife, Nancy. So with that, the next item on our agenda is our minutes for the July meeting. They'll be forthcoming. Ty will be getting that out to all of our members as we get caught up and get started for this next academic year. And we'll move on to our treasurer's report. Susan.
Good evening, everyone. To let everybody know that tonight we
I'm also from the South region. My name is Vinesh.
Oh, my mistake, we had 5. Yeah, welcome. It's really nice to have you here, and any questions you have from any members, just have at it after the meeting. So thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Now for the next portion of our meeting, we're going to go through our law enforcement reports. I'd like to give my thanks to our 3 law enforcement agencies that are all here tonight: San Jose PD, Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department, and our California Highway Patrol. Thank you, gentlemen, for taking time to join us this evening. Just as a reminder to our audience, we do have a working microphone over here on the side. It does help if you have a question to stand by the microphone, so that way we are on Zoom live to our other members that are watching us from home, and it just helps allow them to hear the question that you are asking. So we're going to go ahead and start with San Jose PD. Officer Avila, welcome.
Good evening, everyone. I'm going to keep it very brief. I wasn't told that I was going to be doing the stats for today, but so we've had approximately 3,000 calls for service in our district alone, and approximately 656 calls for service this side of 680 highway, resulting in approximately 16 arrests and 3 warrant arrests. I personally patrol District Robert, so I have been noticing there's been a lot of RVs in the district, a lot of trash, a lot of drugs, narcotics use. I've been trying to make that my focus to kind of clean up these streets. So another thing that I would like to invite you guys would be to Flickinger Park, September 22nd from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. We're going to be partnering with Beautify San Jose, and we're going to be picking up litter at the park. So once we get that all picked up, at the end too, I'll be standing by, see if you guys have any concerns that I can patrol any areas in District Robert. If you guys have any questions, I'm open. Yes?
Will we bring in anything specific or?
Nothing specific. Yeah, so Beautify San Jose is going to be providing the litter tools, right? The grabbers and snacks.
Okay, what time again? I'm sorry.
It's going to be 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Flickinger Park.
What date?
It's going to be September 22nd on a Monday.
Thank you.
Yep.
And if you give me a copy, I will distribute it.
Yeah. I'll leave you one up here. Thank you. Here you go. Yep.
What type of calls do that were in this area were you getting? You said 600?
Yeah, in this area, 600. It's looking like vandalism, burglary calls, alarm calls. Thank you. Just suspicious circumstances. Like I said, I'm not too informed into these calls, but these are the type of calls that we've been getting.
Yeah, it's for us to know what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Right.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce you to Lieutenant Tyler Fernandez from the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Department. He's just been assigned to our area just a month shy, right? Welcome.
Thank you. All right, thank you guys. Yeah, Lieutenant Tyler Fernandez, I'll be your watch commander. So I'm on Sunday through Wednesday, and there's another watch commander that comes on Wednesday through Saturday. So I pulled the stats from August 1st to current today. For our east side units, we've had 956 calls for service. Your guys' area in the Berryessa area, we call it's our Edward 1 beat. We've had 51 calls for service in this area starting on August 1st. 18 of those have been patrol checks in the Calaveras area, Sierra and Marsh Road. One event to highlight was on August 6th. We had an aid to fire for an unhoused subject that was starting a fire. One of our units arrived in the area, located the subject. The subject had a bunch of warrants for their arrest. So we took that subject into custody. Milpitas Fire and CAL FIRE were able to put that fire out. It's in the area of Felter and Marsh. And then the information on that subject was provided over to the arson investigator for CAL FIRE to continue that investigation. Another couple calls that we've had on patrol checks that our rural crimes deputy has observed is stolen AT&T telecommunication wires for copper theft. So we've had 2 reports of that came through the deputy doing his patrol check, noticing that wires are down, wires are being cut. So something to kind of look out for in your area. If there's suspicious vehicles on the side of the road, if they're near power lines, please call. That's what we're doing. We'll respond out and get that person into custody. Primarily the calls for service that have been out have been 911 cell tower hits that may not be calls that are necessarily from your guys' area. They just relocate off the tower. That becomes something where it ends up in a no report and somebody an accidental 911. We have had some recovered stolen vehicles. We had somebody evade over off Piedmont Road from a car stop, and then 2 weeks ago we took some juveniles into custody for discharging a firearm and juveniles being in possession of a firearm up off Marsh Road. So they were in legal possession of that as a juvenile to have that firearm. So they were released to their parents, and that's all we've had. It's been fairly quiet in your guys' area, which has been nice. Some of the things that I was talking to one of your guys' constituents earlier to look out for as well, if you guys have any of your neighbors that are doing Airbnb rentals, we've been noticing more in our South County area, but what they're doing is people are renting out their houses and then they're going on social media and they're blasting out huge parties and high school parties, and you're getting hundreds of kids showing up into the area, and that creates a big problem, right? So if you start to notice a influx of a bunch of vehicles showing up in your neighborhoods, please call. We'll get units up in the area to start dispersing that party and making sure nobody's utilizing alcohol as a juvenile and getting in their vehicles and all that kind of stuff. But that's been the common theme that we've kind of seen from a lot of the areas throughout the county, is this new, hey, we have a house, blast it out. And unfortunately, when you put it on social media, you get a lot of unwelcome guests, and they show up and they flood these areas. So keep an eye out for that. That's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
That would be a 911 call then?
Be a 911 call. Yeah.
Appreciate the job you do. Hope you get to see our road a little more for each other.
Absolutely, and I'll meet with your rural crimes deputies, Deputy Aquino. He goes up there quite a bit. He had 18 patrol checks up there off Sierra Road. You guys might not see him. Sometimes he comes really late at night to kind of go through that area, or super early in the morning based on calls for service that he gets pulled out to other areas. But I will definitely remind him to kind of get through and start knocking on doors and introducing himself and getting out in the community. Okay. Thank you, guys.
And next, I'd like to invite from our California Highway Patrol, Captain Justin Bradford. Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Good to see everyone again. It's been a few months. So I'll cover a few things, including the 4th of July. As you know, there was a big firework explosion that limited the sales of fireworks. So I know some of the events were canceled, but we get a lot of complaints for traffic going up in the hills. I worked on the 4th of July. I drove some of those roads. We did not see a lot of people. It was very less significant, and we could probably attribute that to the lack of fireworks shows. But I was out here on the 4th. Fast forward to August, National Night Out. I drove through here. I didn't see any meetings here, but I drove through some of the neighborhoods and then went to some of our other unincorporated areas. So next year, if there is any National Night Outs, I'd like to get those locations. Did anyone have one or host one this year in this community? You did? Okay. So we do partner with the police department, the sheriff. We like to go to those events. So next year, I know there's a break in the summer on these meetings, but maybe we could get those locations for next year. And again, I drove through here. The San Jose office, we're doing really well staffing right now. We have around 93% staffing, which is great. It's going to allow me, I advertised a community outreach officer position. I had one individual interested. The officer is one of my best officers available, and I'm glad he put in for it. But it's going to take a month probably to get him in place, but you will probably start to see him at these meetings. Recently, there's been some changes with the officer scheduling and the shift length, so I think that's going to attract more officers to the San Jose area, including one that has already put their transfer to come back, and I hope to make her a second community outreach officer. That way, you're not looking at me every month. And if you have a complaint, you can tell that officer, and then the next day or even that night, the officer could go out directly and impact and see what's going on. Stat-wise, we haven't had any major traffic crashes in unincorporated areas in the entire San Jose area jurisdiction. Unfortunately, we're seeing a big increase in fatal crashes on the freeways. Speed and driving under the influence is the #1 factor. Our two motors, Officer Lewis and Clements, should be out here, should be on Sierra Road. I'll remind them to come out here, but they're doing a great job. They have to cover the freeways and all the unincorporated areas. But if you have any specific traffic complaints, let me know. Internally, or not internally, I should say, externally, the Highway Patrol, I will talk about a few things because it's in the news. The governor a few weeks ago did a press conference with our commissioner and announced that the CHP was going to be in various Bay Area cities, helping out the cities. And I just want to let you know that there's no city in Santa Clara County that we're going to be assisting. Each agency, including the San Jose Police Department, is doing a great job. You all saw in the news they recently just got awarded the safest, largest city. Again, that title they had back in when I was a sergeant here in 2012 and 13. Did anyone see that in the news, or is this the first time? Yeah. So that's great, right? They're doing a great job, and I talked to the police chief myself, and the mayor asked, is CHP coming in? Like, no, they're doing a great job. We'll always partner. But on a weekly event, we just don't need to come into the city. And then the governor also announced unsheltered encampment task force that we're going to partner with Caltrans, CHP, the Office of Emergency Services. Sometimes, I'll be honest, there's these press conferences and that's the first time I'm hearing of it. But just know internally, since I've taken over in January, we are doing a lot more, we're trying to do a lot more efforts on the freeways, on and off ramps for the unsheltered people. Unfortunately, some of those fatal crashes we have are pedestrians that walk from these encampments. They're a danger to you, they're a danger to themselves. So we are internally doing a lot more staffing. We have a team of 4 officers that are dedicated to those kind of events. And then obviously we're trying to get them resources that the city provides. But, you know, it's a constant battle of removing them. Then they go to the city, and then once the city takes care of it, then they come back and repopulate. So we're just trying to make sure that we're all working in a partnership. And we were even before the governor had a press conference. So the Highway Patrol in the San Jose area is doing a lot with all the agencies. That's pretty much it for right now, but I definitely would like to hear any questions you have, concerns. Yes.
Yes, I did call on fireworks for 4th of July that we were given a phone number this year, that month. And it was very difficult to get through, of course, which I expected, you know, to just read, you know, circles and circles and circles to where you never, you have to call again and call again. So that was part of it. But then when I did get a hold of somebody, they wanted to know so much information. I was like, I knew this, you were just reporting it where it's at in my, where my address is in relation to Montezuma, where it was, I could see it coming from. They wanted to know how many people were there. They wanted to know what the address. You know, they wanted to know when did it start. They got more information, you know, well, I don't know. I said, I don't want to go out there.
Yeah.
And look at those things and give you those answers. And so.
Yeah, so just remember 911 calls are tricky. They go to various agencies, whether it's the police, the sheriff, or us.
Different number you gave us directly for the fireworks.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been us. We wouldn't take 911 calls for fireworks. That would have been probably the sheriff or the police. But that is a good reminder. You know, it might seem like they're asking for information that doesn't make sense, but remember, they're taking thousands of calls a day and they have to get officers to a specific location. So they're trained to answer calls, and it could be frustrating, but if they don't have that information, then it delays the officers in their response, and it's frustrating. I'm not sure, do you guys know, was there a city or a county number for fireworks this year? Yeah, it was probably a city thing, I would imagine. 311, okay, yeah, so that's not the highway patrol, but I know it's frustrating because they're supposed to route you to the appropriate agency, but our call takers are all in Vallejo, and they take calls from around the entire Bay Area, and you probably see TV shows, some of the calls we get are, amazing, but there are a lot of emergencies, and they're trained because they need to dispatch the officers to handle that emergency, so, yeah. Anything else? Did anyone else observe like lower vehicle traffic on the 4th for those that were around? No? The same? Okay. Yes?
In years past, I'm not sure if this is vehicle traffic, but in years past on golf, that used to be the case that a lot of vehicles would come from different areas to see fireworks, but this year there was a lot more monitoring, drones and all that, so there were less cars. That's probably not what you're asking, but.
No, that's good to know,
Related to fireworks,
Yeah.
that drones help a lot.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good to know. Yeah, we had a few units out there and they didn't report seeing anything either, so. But as you all know, if you have traffic problems speeding, we go out there and the people don't speed. We leave and then they speed, so, but we are trying to get out there more. All right, thank you. Have a wonderful evening.
And again, if we can give another round of applause for all 3 law enforcement agencies, we appreciate their presence here with us tonight. So next, we're going to transition to our presentation for the evening. So I want to welcome our representatives from Beautify SJ, Maribel Roman and Sergio Gonzalez. Please come on up. So it'll just be a minute while we get ourselves here connected. Welcome. No problem. Go right ahead. Yeah.
How's everybody doing today? Good. I'll try to stall while we get the computer going. No one watching the football game today? Not Vikings or Bears fans?
There we go.
Thank you.
Don't encourage them. They need to be here.
Got you. Okay.
Hopefully it works. Good evening, everyone. My name is Maribel Roman. I am a Community Services Supervisor with Beautify SJ, and I oversee the Neighborhood Blight Reduction Programs.
And I'm Sergio Gonzalez. I am a Community Service Supervisor for the Encampments Program. And we'll get into it right in a little bit.
So today we're here to talk a little bit about the programs that we offer at Beautify SJ. And within BSJ, we have several programs. A lot of programs under our umbrellas. Essentially, there is a neighborhood blight reduction program on one side of the house, and on the other side we have the encampment management. For the neighborhood blight reduction programs, we have programs like graffiti, litter, illegal dumping, and neighborhood beautification. And for the encampment side, we have programs like encampment management, abatements, RVP3, cash for trash, waterways, amongst others. Stuck. Sorry.
Spinning.
It's loading.
And we'll do it this way. Let's see.
Make it this way? Okay. So the graffiti program abates over 2.5 million square feet of graffiti throughout the city of San Jose. This team aims to remove graffiti from public areas within 3 business days. We do remove gang or offensive graffiti from public areas and private property. The team does go out there and reaches out to the private property owner and gets permission to remove and abate that graffiti. So it is a little bit of a lengthy process, but we do try to aim to get it removed within 72 hours. There are several ways to report graffiti. You can do so by downloading the San Jose 311 app. You can email our anti-graffiti email, or you can call our hotline. You are our eyes out there, so we do depend on you to report that graffiti, because if you don't report it, then there's a big chance that we don't know about it.
I've used the app 3 to 4 times, the graffiti removal. One for the park, on the fence and all that stuff. And it gets removed within 72 hours, and really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for using the app. We also have the Neighborhood Litter Program. This team focuses on empowering communities by hosting and coordinating litter events. They do average about 300 litter events per year. This is led by volunteers. This team also works closely with the mayor, council, neighborhood associations, and neighborhood groups to coordinate litter events. They also have an education component in where they go to schools and they educate the students about the impacts of littering and what it does to our planet. So if you're interested in becoming a volunteer, go ahead and email us and we will give you more information on how to become a volunteer. The Neighborhood Beautification Program, which was formerly known as the Dumpster Day Program, this team focuses on beautifying the communities, and they do so by coordinating dumpster events, community sweeps, e-waste drives. They also work closely with the mayor's office, council, neighborhood associations, and community groups. We also have a Beautify SJ grant. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with it. Awesome, awesome. They do provide funds if you qualify anywhere from $300 to $5,000. If you would like more information on the grant, you can go ahead and visit the city website or scan the QR code. We also have the RAPID team, which stands for Removing and Preventing Illegal Dumping. This team responds to illegal dumping incidents. We do aim to remove illegal dumping within 5 business days. Of course, depending on what the incident is, it might take a little bit longer to close that. We do count on the San Jose 311 app to get those reports. So if you see any illegal dumping, please report it. And there are several ways, again, to report illegal dumping or graffiti. I do highly encourage that you download the San Jose 311 app. It's very helpful. There's another option to get rid of items that is unwanted. You can schedule a free junk pickup, and they can pick up to 12 items per appointment, and the appointments are unlimited. So you can do so by scheduling it through the San Jose 311 app.
And I used that before, it works really well.
Awesome, thank you. Yes. That's you.
All right, now encampments. So as you all know, yes, question?
One question, regarding graffiti removal or dumping. If it's on private property, can we still report it on 311, or does that have to go through code enforcement?
So if it's illegal dumping, it does have to go through code. If it's graffiti, if it's offensive or gang-related, you can send it over to us, and then we work with the property owner to get it removed.
In what case does it need to go to code enforcement
The graffiti,
or government?
if it's on private property. So we only work with property owners to remove graffiti if it's offensive or gang-related. Yeah. Yes.
Since we're talking about graffiti, I've lived here for many years, and the overpass at 13th and 101 is ridiculous. Both sides covered. I go by it almost every day. It's very embarrassing when I have guests here, from other states, from California. This looks so great. And those are all the gang, signs, and you're saying they get removed in 3 days. I haven't seen that ever on that overpass.
So that,
I have also contacted the mayor's office with this general response about how we're working on, how do you work on it? You either do it or you don't.
right. So that would be considered Caltrans. So we would have to coordinate with Caltrans. We are working right now on a project with Caltrans, and that might be one of our locations. Yes.
Piggyback on what she's saying, the disaster from here to
Yes.
Caltrans. But below that, for some reason, there's a drain broken. Water has been there for like 100 years. I don't know why. It's very dangerous, and it just lifts the road up the highway. Probably Caltrans. So if you can put that together, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Is the entrance to the various exit or entrance, is that also Caltrans? Because that has lots of graffiti all on that wall again.
It's,
Various.
Yeah.
it's also, it's also interagency, so it's a partner that's responsible for the removal of that.
And how do we get in touch with these people? Because everyone says that somebody else is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. So I definitely understand your frustrations, because it's not just, in this area, it's, right. It's all over, even with encampments, right? It's a process. It's a very long process, because, right. And then a lot of it has to do with funding, right? A lot of them is like, this is my domain. You can't go in there. And as an example, we can go in there and remove it. But we have to pay the staff, and they say, we're not going to pay you. You decided to make that decision, so we're not going to pay you. So it becomes kind of like a back and forth. And I understand that frustration, because it also happens to us in encampments, right? But we can definitely take those notes and look into it more further. We don't have an answer of why it's taking a while.
Phone numbers for contacting people would be great.
Yeah, definitely. Maribel and I can provide you our numbers at the end of the presentation, and you guys can get a hold of us. So as Maribel was going over her programs, we also have our encampment programs, all right? And the similar kind of way, you can also report encampments. Currently, right now, we're overseeing 150 encampments, and even in the encampments, there's a process to remove an encampment, because there's processes and procedures. There's policy that protects RVs, there's policy that protects the unhoused, right? But there are things definitely that we can work with to remove that unhoused individual immediately. And that's being close to schools, 150 steps close to the schools, not following the good neighbor policy. I'm not sure if you're aware of the good neighbor policy that we have in place. I'll touch about it a little bit right now, but I'm just giving you the general idea of how it works, right? So similar to graffiti, you can report encampments, and there's our link if you want to scan it, and you can also report it. Once it's reported, we have a team, okay? Let me see if I can go down and show you the teams. These are all the programs that are in the encampment services, and I'll just read them off real quick, okay? We have our our routes program, which is our trash routes. It's east, north, and west, and south. We also have our cash for trash program. We have our waterway routes. We have our RBP3 services, interagency coordination, and that kind of touches a little bit of similar to what Maribel talked about with graffiti. We also, anything that's touching the freeway, railroads, any Caltrans, it's now another department that needs to work with us, right, to remove the unhoused individual. Then we have our therapeutic outreach. And then finally, we have the steps, the escalated action steps, which is escalated cleanups, abatements, and no encampment zones. So I'm gonna kind of go over a story. So maybe that's the best way that I can explain how it works, okay? So trash routes is similar as when they pick up your trash every morning, right? It's specifically set on a specific day. Mine's on Thursdays. I'm not sure what day is your pickup trash day, but mine's on Thursdays. So similarly, our trash routes works the same way. We have 150 encampments, and we set dates to go pick up the trash that are surrounding the encampments, okay? The good neighbor policy is that they have to follow these rules and guidelines that we have, which is a 10 by 10 good neighbor policy, which means that anything that's in 10 by 10, if you're in a car, an RV, or even your space or camp, it has to be clean 10 by 10, right? If it's not clean, then we follow the process, which is, the steps of getting them removed, encampments, escalation. We talk to them first. We interact with them, and that's the job of the therapeutic outreach team. They meet with them. So once we identify an encampment, so imagine again, right? We do the routes. We're doing them every day. We're meeting all these people. We have interactions with them. Some, as you can imagine, are very friendly, and some are not, right? So we have to have caution, and we have to be very wary of that and understanding of certain circumstances that they have. So once we do the trash routes, and if it's not clean, if they're not following process and procedure, then we go to, before we remove them, we go to the therapeutic outreach team, which they go and assess and then talk to the individual. They let him know if he needs housing opportunities, if he's looking for a job, right? They interact with him, and at that point, that person says yes or no, and then if they say yes, we provide him the services that he needs. If he says no, then we go to the policy. We basically put kind of like a notice for him saying, hey, if you don't remove your stuff in 72 hours, we're gonna abate you, right? We're gonna remove you from the place. Typically, when we come back, the stuff's not there anymore. Right? So we have to come back, and unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because it can be frustrating, a week later they have the mess again, right? So we have to follow the same process again. We can't just say, I already talked to you, now I'm gonna have to remove you again. And they have rights as well, and we have to kind of follow that process of like, in 72 hours, if it's not removed, we're gonna remove you, right? So what happens? They do it again, right? So I'm not saying it's a cycle, it could be a cycle, but we're aware of it, and we say, hey, you know what? There's a point where we're like, hey, you keep doing this to us, so we're gonna have to remove you, right? And we get to that point. So that's routes, and that's therapeutic, and also immediate abatement, right? You remove them right away. Then we have another program called Cash for Trash. That program is where they're following the good neighbor policy, they're doing a good job, right? So what we're trying to do with that team is, instead of saying having a mess, right, continuing to having a mess, why don't we pay you $5 per bag, right? You clean your mess and you leave the bag there, and then in 1 week we come in and we pick that bag and we give you $5, right? Now that $5 is not cash or is not a check, it's basically a debit card, right? And it has restrictions. They can't buy certain things. It's only food, water, or clothing, right? So they can't really do much with that money, right? They can only follow the basic needs, okay? And we have that. We have about 400 participants in that program right now. So we give them cards, and they were able to buy food, they were able to buy snacks, just by cleaning their area clean, right? I always say the con of not having that program is, imagine just a lot of people having a mess, right? And we have to do now routes to go pick up that mess, and it gets very consistent, right? It's a lot. So Cash for Trash works for about 400 participants, and it's very helpful, okay? So that's Cash for Trash. Waterway routes is basically all the homeless encampments or individuals that are by the water, by the waterways. That's the team. They go and abate, they go and remove, and that is an emergency in a sense. So if we see someone by the waterways, they're removed immediately. We don't really post them. We do emergency postings where we tell them, hey, we're gonna remove you in about an hour or two, right? Or at that moment in time, we're gonna remove you right now, right? So that's that waterways program that we have. The RV, I'm sure you've seen the RVs parked around, right? In that area, we provide services for the RVs, which we go and pick up the bio, right? And I don't want to gross you out, but imagine if we don't have that program, they throw the bio in the grass, in the street, right? And with this program, we're able to contain the bio in the city of San Jose, right? We're able to go to their RV. We have two good trucks. We go pick them up, and we pick up the bio, right? And then interagency, it's similar to what graffiti does. Anything that's surrounded by Caltrans, anything that's surrounded by UP railroads, right? Anything that's surrounded in those areas that is not in our jurisdiction, we have to work with a partner. We start engaging with them. And I'll be very frank with you, sometimes that engaging lasts maybe 2 weeks because we're building that relationship, but they're busy, right? In that context, like they're doing other things, so it's hard for us to kind of interact with them. But nonetheless, we've been working with them. They know us, who we are, so sometimes abatements have been fast when it comes to interagency. And finally, just explaining the escalations again. We do escalated cleanups. As I mentioned, if they're 150 feet close to the school, then that's an immediate abatement, right? And then abatements, general abatements, we abate folks. And then no encampment zones where we post them where they can't be in that area, regardless of whatever the reason. If we see them there, then we abate them, right? That's the abatement team. So sometimes we see them over a pass, or we see them, hiding somewhere. We with the no encampment zones, if they're there, we remove them right away. Okay, so that's the escalation of that. So we do have partners, like I mentioned. These are some of our partners: Caltrans, County, Santa Clara, Water Valley District, Union Pacific Railroad, and the Valley Transportation Authority. So these are some of the partners that we interact and engage with, because we can't really do it by ourselves, right? We have to have this partnership and this relationship to make sure that we actually do the abatements and interact with our teams, okay? And this is kind of briefly what I mentioned. This is the good code of conduct, also the good neighbor policy, as I mentioned. They have to follow the process, and I can't really enlarge it. I do apologize. Hopefully this works. Kinda, right? Yeah, it does. Possible escalation. This is what happens when they not following the rules, right? Loud music, breaking the code, trash all over. If they do have that, it's a possible escalation. That's why we try to contain it and have that conversation with them. But if they don't, we go to abatement, which is criminal activity, other things that happens, vehicle that's not being kept, right? They're not following the 10 by 10. Everything's kind of not doing what they're supposed to be doing. Then we go into the escalation or the abatement part, right? We remove them immediately to make sure that it doesn't happen. But bio-waste is the big thing for us. If we do see them continuously not, maintaining their bio, we give them bags, red bags. I'm not sure if you've driven around and see red bags around RVs. Those are the bags that we give them, that they put their bio there, and we pick it up either the same day or the next day, right? We try to do our best of not leaving the bio there, because we do understand that some people want to see what's going on or what's happening there, and it's not pretty, right? So we do our best to kind of pick up the bio bags. And that's pretty much.
So question on
Yeah.
So on one of the streets where I live, there is an RV that's parked that just let loose its waste onto the public road.
Do you mind?
We reported it, we took a video of it, we have a video proof too, yeah.
Okay.
And nothing happened because by the time somebody shows up, it's into the sewer system. Right?
Okay.
I don't know what to do about it. It's just not safe.
Yeah.
This was an RV that was there for 3 months. We kept putting in 311 requests, and that one RV became a train of 6 RVs, and then finally kind of got cleared up. But then the first ones come back, and it's kind of left, late at night, nobody's watching, I guess, so we just dumped everything onto the street.
Right.
And I'm not sure, I did the 311 app, I'm not sure what else I can do.
Give me your, if you can, give me your contact information. I'll look at the area. And I'm not saying this happened to you. I'll look into what happened. But sometimes when they do the 311 app, they don't hit submit. And they say they fill it out and everything, but it doesn't really go through. I'm not saying that's what happened to you. Don't get me wrong. But sometimes a good chunk of time that happens. But let me check.
The question I have is 311 the right forum, or should I be using a different, maybe Beautify San Jose has a different website or link that I should be submitting these things at?
No, that is the right. In order to get a hold of us, we use a 3-1 map. We have analysts that pins us and say, okay, we have this area. And unfortunately, there's all this red tape, right, that we have to kind of go through. So if it hits Caltrans, I'm not saying that's Caltrans in your situation, but if it hit Caltrans, we don't go, we go and assess it, but we can't remove anything. We have to kind of interact with them first, right? So that's the process, and it takes a long time, because imagine sending an email, taking 2 days to respond. Then they say, what do you want to do? Well, we can't until a week or two later, right? That kind of conversation extends it, and that's what happens.
So, it does seem like, there's a lot of work happening in the background, but for the residents who live in that area, we have no idea.
Right.
So if there was some way to let the residents know what's being done or what has been done, then we feel like, okay, something's being done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not one resident complaining there, so we have about 50 people or 50 people going into the 311 app, with their issue.
Right.
Just to kind of, highlight that, hey, this is the concern.
No, for sure. And I'm not trying to say that we're ignoring your request. But let me check, because sometimes, I'm not blaming the app either, I'm not trying to give you excuses. Sometimes it doesn't come through. And when it doesn't come through, we're not aware of it, and we either, we go through that process, you're right, and it takes a while. We go sometimes and they're not there, I'm not saying this happened to you, but we've had a case where someone submitted something, we go and checked and they're not there. We left and they come at night, right? So a lot of them are mobile, a lot of their RVs do work, and when they work, they go to work, right? They go park close to their work, they come and they go back to where they were. Right, and sometimes that happens, right? So when we get there, we get the report, we're like, they're not here anymore, right? And then we never come back there again because we don't really hear it, see it, right? And then we get another report like, hey, this person's back, you guys didn't do anything. So I definitely hear what you're saying, but let me look into your specific area.
The name of the street, because this is a regular occurrence.
Okay.
They go away and then they come back.
Right.
The area is, I don't know whether it's parked Caltrans or what, but it just seems like we like parking there, and it's close to the neighbors.
Would it be possible to turn that into a fire? It's also hindrance to fire vehicles.
Yeah, we can get other partners involved too. DOT is definitely one of them. And what I mean by that is that they also have to assess it and deem that like a fire hazard, right? Or we can deem it what I mentioned, a no camping zone, right? And once that happens, then we act differently, right?
Because there's a sign right there that says no dumping.
No,
They're dumping right there.
yeah.
And it says fine of $10,000, and
Right.
in the park right there, in front of the sign, they're dumping.
Right, yeah. Well, when I'm done, give me your info and then I'll look into it for sure, okay? And then finally, folks, the final, oh, yes.
I have a few questions. And I'll just ask the questions and then I'll let you respond. But the 150-foot school buffer zone, is there a possibility of getting that increased to 1,000 feet from schools like for marijuana dispensaries, it's 1,000 feet? I don't know why this isn't also. Blocking public right-of-ways on McKee Road near Capitol, there's very, very often tents that pop up right on the sidewalk. Either completely blocking the pedestrian right-of-way or partially. What do we do about that? How can we, to me, it seems like that should be a 911, or to you guys, not an actual 911, but an urgent.
It's a hazard, yeah.
Abatement. And then the last comment that I have or question is, you talked about the good neighbor policy, and is that different from code of conduct? And when you were talking about the outreach, therapeutic outreach, when they go out and you offer them housing and they say no, I went to all the meetings that the council had a couple of months ago, and they did implement an enhanced code of conduct where if they refuse 3 times, there will be consequences. Who's tracking that?
So that hasn't been officially implemented within our program, right? Right now we're following, the good neighbor policy is the code of conduct that we have. So those are conversations that we're going to start having with the team. We work with PD as well. So PD is when we go and abate them, they're with us. So their issues don't happen or nothing arises. But that is a good point. That is something that we're going to have a conversation regarding the new code of conduct, right? And we're actually working on that, the template, how that's going to look like for us, right? And to address your question of 150 school buffer, that's a policy that we're following, right? Normally we're supposed to, if they are 150 feet, and unfortunately if they're 152, we have to leave them, allow them to be living there because it's a car, right? I'll give you an example. By Shepherd Middle School, there was a car that was living there, and it was 151 feet. We had a conversation with them and he didn't want to move, right? But after having a conversation, it got really out of hand and we were able to remove him.
I was told that it only applies to tents, not encampments, not vehicles.
The 150, well, RVs, well, not RVs, but we could post them still, that they have to kind of remove, right? But encampments, they have I'm talking about cars that put their stuff on top of their car, their hood, it's all on the side, right? Then it becomes kind of like a tent, right? If you can imagine, and they're not following the good neighbor policy. I don't want to confuse you. The code of conduct, right? The good neighbor policy, they're not following it, and we have to address it, yeah.
Do you have any metrics as as far as the number of them housed in just our district area? Because it seems like it's increased. I don't know if other areas have decreased and they've all come here, but it seems like there's a lot more on the house in RVs and cars and tents and everything lately.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be very honest with you. It's not that it's easy, right? It's what I mean by that is that I'm sure all of you are aware of Columbus, right? That area is being abated, right? And we are doing our best to provide them housing, right? That is the first thing that we're trying to do, support them with housing. And honestly, some don't want housing, right? They don't want to lose that freedom that they have, right? That they say they have, right? So one of the things that happens is that if they don't want housing, we still abate them, we still remove them. So if they don't want housing, you can imagine what they're going to be doing, right? Like they're going to find another place, right? And for us, it's our job to find where they're at and at least do the routes where we keep them clean and following the good neighbor policy, right? I don't want to, how can I word it properly? It's a domino effect, right? They need housing, we don't have enough housing, right? When they get housing, it's expensive for them to pay for housing, right? So then it's this kind of cycle where we're trying to do our best to work together as a team, as a city, to ensure we address it, right? So that's one of the things that, I hope that answers your question. Sometimes, we do our best to find them once they move around, to provide services for them, right?
Can you put an air tag on it?
Yes.
Is there any financial training for these people? Because a lot of times that's part of the problem is that they have just so much money, like all of us, but they don't know how to manage their money. And so you get them into housing, yes, it's cheaper and all that, but they don't know how to do the EPG. They use a budget. That's the word I've been looking for. They don't know how to budget. So then there you go again, and within 3 or 4 months, they're back on the street.
Right. So we're fortunate to have a lot of nonprofits in the city of San Jose, and a lot of these nonprofits provide services. So I'll give you an example. We assess an unhoused individual, and he wants housing, right? And he wants a job. And they don't have clothing, so we work with Sacred Heart to get clothing, right? We work with Goodwill to get clothing. And then we prepare them. We do a job training for them, an economic empowerment program. Unfortunately, some folks want housing and probably don't want to do the extra steps, right? So that's us working and engaging with them, mentoring them, right? Not us per se, that's not our role, but definitely we do have partners that do that and support him or her in that way, or families as well. So it takes all of us, right? It's a village, kind of that concept, and we're doing our best to address it. And it's hard sometimes, right? It's hard. Okay, and that's pretty much it, folks. If you do have questions, that's our email. When you email us, when you email a specific situation, it gets directed to us, right? So to answer your question, if you guys have questions, you guys can email there. That person will assess it and then send it to me. Send it to, it's not just me that does encampments, there's a lot of us. But that information will get to that person, and then they'll hopefully, I won't say hopefully, we do reach out, because I have reached out to our constituents and members that are here, and not here per se, but other areas. But yeah, any final questions? I know we took a lot of time, but any other final thoughts?
I just want to say thank you for everything you do. This group, the development group, we came here, I don't know if you knew, but back on the 13th of July, we had a 1-year-old that was stabbed dead in our park.
Oh.
And then his father was gunned down. So that just was a point for us, beyond the point where we realized we need to start, so we're forming a neighborhood watch from that, and we're just getting active and learning about what we need to do and how to get engaged and how to work with different organizations to resolve the issues. We're having, we had fires in the park, all kinds of things that happen. And we're working as a team now. We're discovering that we can make a difference in our neighborhoods. And we appreciate the efforts you all have. And anything we can do to help you, that's what we're here to do as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Watch your computer.
Oh.
Yep. Thank you. We get another round of applause for Sergio and Maribel. Thank you for all that wonderful information. And so now I know we have several of our elected representatives here this evening, so we're going to do a rapid fire of announcements from each of them. Let's start with Assemblymember Alex Lee's office.
Hello, everybody. So for the new timers, my name is Tim Orozco. I work with Assemblymember Alex Lee, who represents this area, right? And I have 2 announcements and then a couple of bills that I want to share with you. The 2 announcements. One is we have a Senior Scam Stopper event coming up. It's actually going to be in Fremont. That's part of our district. So it's in the northern end at the Fremont Main Library. But if you haven't been to one of our Senior Scam Stoppers, it's worthwhile. And it tells you who's going to be attending. We have 6 panelists. I always pride myself on this event because I've been organizing this event for years. And so we have 4 from the state, the Contractor State License Board, Department of Insurance, Department of Financial Protection and Innovation, the Bureau of Household Goods and Services. And then because we're in Fremont, we're going to have a City of Fremont PD officer talk about scams. Last year we had it at the Eastside Union High School District boardroom. So we had the City of San Jose speak, but this time it'll be City of Fremont. And then we also have someone from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Kind of interesting, yeah. So come and get that angle. So it's very worthwhile. Try to make it. It's on a Saturday. So who does things on a Saturday? 2 o'clock. It gives you plenty of time to get up 6:80, go to the library on Stevenson, and come join us. Okay? That's one. Number 2, September 15th to October 15th is Latino Heritage Month. And so you all know that I've been a strong advocate for this community, right, for Berryessa. And we have 3 honorees, thanks to the superintendent. And I'll share that name at some other point when we get in contact with her. But we have someone who just retired after 25 years of service to BUSD, the Berryessa Union School District, as a Spanish translator and a tutor, mentor to kids. So we have that person lives in our district over by Flickinger. And then the other 2 I want to mention, Hugo Jimenez, who just left the board, and I believe David Cohen's office. So Hugo will be honored and recognized and will be at this event. I'll give you the date. And the 3rd person, where did she go? She's part of our group, Alva. Where's Alva? Did she? So Alva doesn't like to be recognized, but I told Alva, I think it's very important that people know that you're doing some good work. You're a Latina in the community, and you've been doing so much over the last several years. So Alba would be a 3rd. We have 3 of the 6 honorees from Berryessa. So I'm proud again that we're going to be represented. Now, the event is in Newark. Sorry. Newark is a city in our district. There's a large Latino population, over 30%, and so we're going to have it up there. But if you can join us on a Friday night at 6 o'clock, go early because there's traffic. We'd love to have you there. So 3 Berryessans. And then the last thing I want to leave you with, school ends this week. The legislature ends this week. I always kind of make the analogy, it's kind of like, an academic year. So the legislature will end on Friday at midnight. And so this week, they're in marathon sessions, passing all the Senate bills. You know how bills work, right? So they're passing all the Senate bills from the other house. And then once they're passed by the Assembly, both houses pass them, they go to the governor's desk, and then he has 30 days to either sign it or veto it. And so that's how the process works. So after Friday, we will see the Assembly member in the district regularly. Okay, I'm going to try to get him to come to this meeting to give the report. And then the last thing about bills, do you know what cat declawing is? So the Assembly member has a bill to ban cat declawing. It's banned in New York, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Australia, New Zealand, several other places. And so that surgical procedure if passed by the Senate this week, will then go to the governor's desk, and we will also have a ban to declaw cats unless it's necessary. And, you know, obviously a veterinarian has to determine that. You know, he keeps on trying to, almost there. He keeps on trying to pass a bill to ban corporations and institutional investors from buying up homes in the state. And there are several companies that do have over 1,000. And so the ban would be 1,000. So you could buy 1,000, Ty, but no more than 1,000, sorry, because I need to buy a home, or Ralph needs to buy a home. And so we need to keep up the supply for young people. We're already in a housing crisis. And then the last thing is when you do your taxes next year, and this already passed by the governor already signed this bill, when you do your taxes, I know I don't donate a lot, but when you have your tax form, and at the very end, all those checkoff boxes where you can donate part of your state refund, well, one of the boxes you will see now, because of the Assembly member's bill, is pediatric cancer research checkoff box. And this was a bill that was brought to the Assembly member's attention by these teenagers who had lost a brother because of brain cancer, right? And so, which is a big thing in among kids. So next year, when you're doing your taxes, think of Assembly Member Lee for that checkoff box. All right. There you have it. Thank you so much. And welcome back, everybody.
Okay, next we have representative from Senator Dave Cortese's office. Okay. Senator Aisha Wahab's office. I know they did call because they wanted to be here tonight, okay. All right, Santa Clara County Supervisor Otto Lee's office. All right. Council Member David Cohen, District 4.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Fuentes, and good evening, everyone. A lot going on. We're back from the summer and jumped right back in. There's a lot of policy things happening in the city. We're working on protecting our city from all the withholding of federal money that's been coming our way, trying to make sure that we have the resources we need to continue to have a balanced budget. Making sure our immigrants have resources and protections. There's a lot of fear in our community, in some parts of the community. Making progress on climate mitigation, and a few things happening with the police department. We just finalized our 3-year contract with the Police Officers Association, so they have a 14% raise over 3 years starting this year, and we're really grateful that we've come to an agreement with them. We have 2 items coming to our council tomorrow related to police. We're discussing the reintroduction of a horse-mounted unit in downtown San Jose, which some people think will be a great addition to our policing in the city, and also a discussion about how we're going to purchase a new fixed-wing aircraft for the police department. They use aircraft a lot for patrolling the city, and it'll be very helpful for them to have this extra aircraft. So we're going to have those 2 discussions tomorrow. We're working on some initiatives in the district. One of the things that we're focused on in our office, hopefully for next year's baseball season, is replacing the scoreboard at Flickinger Field where the Little League plays. It's been really in poor shape for a long time. We're working on the Commodore Park field. You may know that the grass had died there, and we're getting that going, but we might be doing a reseeding this fall to fix up that field. In addition, the same thing's happening at the dog park. The large dogs have torn up the dog park, so we're going to be reseeding the dog park starting in October. Unfortunately, that means the dog park will be closed for 6 months, but it'll be great when it reopens after the rainy season. And then we have finished the fundraising and have finalized a location to put a bench in Cataldi Park in memory of the boy James who was killed there. That we hope we're moving very quickly. We hope we'll have that bench in October, maybe sometime in the next couple of months. That'll be in place. We have a few upcoming events. Next Tuesday at our city council meeting, we will be adjourning the meeting in memory of our very own Bob Gross. So if anyone wants to come and see the tribute, Dick will be there to provide some tribute, and I'll also be doing some. And it's a tradition in the city when somebody really important in the community passes away to adjourn a meeting in their memory. So next Tuesday at 1:30 at the council chambers. On Wednesday morning, I will be out on Piedmont Road doing crossing guard duty with our city crossing guards, so be nice when you drive by, and I'll be the one out there in the street not knowing what I'm doing, but hopefully everyone will stop when I hold up the stop sign. We will be at the Farmers Market next Saturday, September 20th, for office hours from 9 to noon, so come on by if you'd like to talk about anything going on in your neighborhood. Our next dumpster day will be Saturday, October 11th. The way we do it is we pick an area of the district and they get postcards in the mail. So the area around Vincy Park is our next part of the district. If you really have pressing garbage to get rid of, reach out to our office and we'll let you know where the location is. But we try to limit it because otherwise it gets way out of hand. But that's our next day. We're also working on our annual pumpkin patch, pumpkin giveaway event. We're not sure of the exact date yet, late in October. We're probably partnering with Brooktree School this year to do it there. We have some sponsors to help us give away 500 pumpkins to kids in the area, and it's always been a really popular event. On homelessness, we're working really hard. I drive around the district all the time to look at where the RVs are. We've cleared 8 streets in the last 2 months, so I'm really happy about that. But as the analogy someone made was it's like a leaf blower. You move them from one place, they drive to another place. We clear a street, they stay clear for a little while, other vehicles come in. So it's an ongoing challenge, but we're working on it. And I'm really proud actually of the efforts we're doing because I do believe that overall the numbers are dropping. It's going to be a long process as we work towards it. I know the Beautify SJ folks have left, but they're really a big part of this program, and they've been working really hard focusing on our Columbus Park work, where there were 350 unhoused people living just in that park. But it's a meticulous, very detailed process. Everybody's being offered places to go. We've opened 5 motels and a safe sleeping location just in this month in conjunction with that move, with that abatement, and 2/3 of the folks there have accepted service. That means that of those 350 people, 250 of them are now accepting other locations. And I was listening to the conversation before, and when people accept service, they're going into a site that has resources, counseling, and other services that help them do some of the things like we talked about: financial literacy, job search, house placement. And for those of you who have seen those programs, you see that they are successful. People are finding jobs. In our safe RV parking site, for example, we had 30 people find a job within the first few months. 30 or so have already moved from there into another place of location for housing. The other thing that's really exciting in our district is that in less than 2 months now, our Cerrone interim housing site will be open. Construction's moving along, the units are in place, they're doing the final work, and we believe end of October or so, early November, we'll be able to begin moving people in. There will be over 200 placements at that location. And I want to thank many of you in this room who helped us advocate with VTA for this joint effort to get that site in place, and that will definitely help us make more progress towards our goals. So that's what's going on. Thank you. Yes.
Councilman, is there any more work going on for places to park the RVs, that they can park and stay? Are we still working on?
There's work looking for locations. They're very expensive and they take a lot of land, and so it's really not. There's not a lot of options, but we are reserving some of the parking spaces at some of the motels. So there are some locations available at some of the new sites that we've opened, but that's an ongoing work in progress. Yeah, and we'd love to be able to do more, but with all the interim housing sites all opening at once, there's only so much bandwidth for all the real estate folks and the budget side of things. So we're working on looking, but it's not a new location yet. Yes.
So, question about RVs in general, and it's a hot topic. My question is, why is the county not forcing our neighbors, other cities like previous Mountain View, Las Vegas, Saratoga, they're all rich cities. None of them have any of the responsibilities that are imposed on San Jose. Why is San Jose, for lack of better word, a dumping ground for the county? Why isn't the county forcing other cities to do what they expect San Jose to do to cover? And what is the city council doing to get the supervisors to force other cities?
Well, there's a lot to that question. I'll say 2 things about it, and then just know that this is something we think about all the time. First, I'll say that there are cities that are doing something, not all of them. but Mountain View has safe parking and interim housing. Palo Alto has interim housing and safe parking. Some of our larger neighbors are pulling their weight, but some are not. And I was in Sacramento today actually having a conversation with some lobbyists about this issue and how the state probably will require the state to step up and force better county, city, and city cooperation because, we don't have control over what other cities do. And it will take some external pressure to make that happen. So that's one of the things we're working on as a city is trying to get the state engaged and help us make this more of a regional solution for a problem. And it's not just here, but the big cities around the state end up taking on a lot of the burden for multiple reasons. One, because they are large and it's impossible to sweep them like it is in a small city, but also the larger cities have larger budgets and are often saddled with using the budgets for these purposes, and it's not fair, but it's sort of the nature of things. I'm proud of the things we're doing in San Jose, but I do think there's more that others can do to help us, and I'm continuing to advocate for that. There was one other thing I thought of, but that's okay. I'll leave it for next time. All right, thank you.
Okay, next I'd like to invite Richard Santos, Valley Water District.
Well, welcome everybody. I'm Richard Santos, your director, Santa Clara Valley Water District, and presently the vice chair. There's so many things going on. The good news is that I've seen on the news, it said we may be having some rain, so I hope it's early, yeah. Thank you. Welcome to the new members. On the sad note, talking about Ron Appleby was definitely a good friend and a recipient of Citizen of the Year. Of course, Bob Gross did pass away. Many of you don't know him, but the older members do. Bob Gross was a Citizen of the Year, and he unfortunately died he was 92 years old, going to be 93 on July 4th. And so I had a chance to say goodbye to him a couple of days before. And David's going to go ahead and welcome remarks, but I'll be there at the city council meeting. Really appreciate that, and the family does too. Talk about water. We have something like 800 of the unhoused, homeless in our creeks. We're down to about 70. And that's just a great job for the water district employees. But it's ongoing. It's never going to stop, and so on. And today, when you talk about voting for certain measures, hold the supervisors accountable. We need more mental facilities and more medical. Arresting doesn't do a thing. These judges today, what's wrong with community service? I could talk to them blue in the face. I don't understand our society today. We make more excuses than we take care of action. So it goes on and on and on. We had a couple of fires up in my area and across the way over here. And Sita was the only person that called me and said, thank you for the Bob Gross ponds. And that was a major impact. And just think if we didn't have water in there. Just think if you don't have water in your dams. And some of our politicians who say we don't need dams, I don't know where they come from. Damn if you do, damn if you don't. But you need dams. And we have 10 of them. And all 10 need earthquake protection. I didn't build them. I inherited them. So did you. But we got to do what's right, because we need water for the future. So don't let anybody BS you, whether I'm here or gone. You need dams. Dams protect for flooding, the environment, for drinking water. Anderson alone, if it was properly done right now, if we had a drought and we had no water, would keep Santa Clara County alive for 1 year. That's amazing. But our recharge has done a great job, and we can go on and on. We're going to have this homelessness costing us nothing but money, your tax money. And the judicial system and elected officials have to do a better job. I wrote a letter back in November to all 15 cities. Only one mayor answered, and I said, let's get a JPA together and rotate from city to city, because that's everybody's problems. And if we work together with legislation and whatever have you, we could do this and we could minimize it. I don't know what's going on, but all you do is take the homeless, you push them to one area, they go to another area. You'll blame San Jose, you'll blame Santa Clara, you'll blame the water district. It's not true. It's all of us that's got to do the job, and you got to get your elected officials to say, why don't you listen to this guy Santos and get a JPA, and so we can address the issue constructively, because we're better together. This governor's not going to listen unless we get a letter from a JPA to the governor. All of a sudden he's reneging on $700 million for the light rail or whatever have you. That's out of my league. Tomorrow at 1 o'clock, Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we'll be addressing again, it's called the Environmental Creek Cleanup. And that's where we address the homeless issues. And we welcome everybody. And we invite every association, sheltering, medical, you name it. An example, law enforcement is needed, and they're invited. San Jose comes, the sheriff department don't. Why? We can't solve things without each other. So it goes on and on and on. We're investing right now into the Sis Dam up by St. Louis Reservoir and the site in Calusa. And those are investments with your tax money to do one thing, making sure we have water at all times. There's going to be future droughts. Listen to the scientific reports. Don't listen to the politician. They don't know what the hell they're doing. Listen to the scientific facts that you'll have 10 and 20-year droughts. And the only way you can do it is water conservation, dam it up and store it, and have enough money to protect them. Thank you all.
Yeah, it's right here. Thank you. And next, I'd like to invite Lilia Hancock, Senior Commission.
I'm Lilia Hancock, Senior Commissioner, District 4. And the only thing I want to mention to you is there is a lot of really good information also besides 311-211. So if you don't have that app, make sure you load up the app of 211, because that'll take you to all the resources, not only for seniors, but for any community service here. So I just wanted to mention that, and that anytime that from the commission I get things like 10 things you can do to avoid fraud, or the Department of Aging Adult Services, or age-friendly, or Senior Gateway, even from David Cortez's office. I always give these things to our administrators here so they can post it on a billboard that's there. But if you don't come often to this site and you want to know what's going on, there's great Facebook pages that all the different congressmen, assemblymen, and councilmen have. And it's really good to follow their websites. So I just want to remind everybody, stay involved and stay connected and get all your information so you know all the good resources that are out there for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't see Mike here for Penitencia Creek Association. I know Natalie, president of Beautify Berryessa. Elva, would you have an announcement?
I don't really have an announcement, but to introduce myself for those of you who don't know me, Elva Wilson, and I am Vice President of Beautify Berryessa Neighborhood Association. It is a relatively new association. We cover the area here, kind of would be north of Penitencia Creek. It's a pretty wide area, and we kind of, all of these neighborhood associations, we overlap. We work very well closely together with BCAC, Penitencia Neighborhood Association, and actually I am co-leading a brand new neighborhood association with Eric. Did he step out? Oh, there, Eric. And that would be more like the Toyon neighborhood. One announcement is, and I'm going to let Valerie take this, a fun project, I think, and she's been leading it, and we need volunteers.
Okay. Yeah, but a little bit about Beautify Berryessa. It's an organization that we feel is a great way for people to become involved directly with the community. And we've also worked with Beautify San Jose, doing the trash pickup over at the Robert Gross Perk Ponds. But what we've got in the works right now, we are planting a California native plant garden at the percolation ponds over here on Noble. And right now, we are going to be doing a walkthrough with Parks and Rec and work with the water company to get water to our plants and kind of see how all that unfolds. But we're really excited about this, and we are looking for volunteers to help. We don't have a start date yet because we have to go through the process of Parks and Rec reviewing our plans, accepting our site. But we feel that this is a great way for people to connect with this beautiful natural park, what we call the Perk Ponds, but is more formally known as the Robert Gross, thank you, Recharge Ponds. We need to have a good name, a solid, we need a new sign over there, I think. Anyway, just would love to have you all join us at our next Beautify Berryessa meeting, which will be in December, and we'll have flyers at the community center and at the library. And I think it's just a great opportunity to get to know other people in your neighborhood and to work together directly in helping to keep our neighborhood beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. And then lastly, I'll close out with my announcements for the school district. So in Berryessa Union, we've had a great start. We're in our third full week of school. So time is flying by, and as we're getting into the holiday period, it just goes by faster and faster each time. We had a lot of transitions over the summer, and I'm just really proud of our school communities and how well they've worked together to make sure the students didn't skip a beat and that they felt welcome at whichever school that they were now going to be attending. So as you heard earlier, one of our trustees has resigned, Trustee Hugo Jimenez. So we have a school board meeting this week on Wednesday at 7 o'clock, and the board will be discussing how to go about filling that vacant position. Trustee Jimenez did provide 11 years of service to our community, so we really appreciate his leadership, and we will miss him, but he still has children in our schools, so we know he'll still be around, and we'll get him to continue to volunteer wherever we can. In addition, just in terms of some exciting news of things coming to our district community in terms of community service, we do have a new partner, a new tenant over at the Toyon Elementary site. Their name is Kidango. They're a nonprofit state preschool provider, and so that school location is going to be becoming an early learning center. We're really excited about this. It's going to be affordable and free preschool for families who qualify, and then in addition to that, we're going to be expanding our partnership there at that location with the Children's Discovery Museum. So if you've ever been to the Children's Discovery Museum, especially with the little ones, it's very hands-on, lots of fun. So they're going to be creating a satellite location at the Toyon site for those preschoolers as well as for all of our toddlers and young learners throughout our community. So we're in the plans of developing what that will look like, but hoping to open the doors to that project in January 2026. So it's just around the corner. So really excited about that, and as we have more service opportunities in our other school sites, we'll share that with you too. We also have a tenant already at our Laneview Elementary location, also a nonprofit called Children's Health Council. They provide services for families with children with autism, and will be establishing a schooling location for students there with those needs, as well as a learning center, and they'll be offering parent workshops and services on how to better support your students if they have autism. So looking forward to working with them as well. So really exciting things to come, and looking at opportunities with these locations to really be able to increase services for our families. And so with that, just a few announcements. If you take a look at your flyer here, we do have a BCAC sponsored family event coming up this month on Saturday, September 20th. It'll be right here at the Berryessa Community Center. We'll be showing a family movie. We're going to have popcorn and nachos and water, so please come out and tell your neighbors. Our next General Council meeting will be October 13th. Our board will have a follow-up meeting to debrief today and to prepare for our upcoming events next week at the district office at 6:30. I also want to send our thanks to our queen of coffee, Sita, sitting back there. She always makes sure we have coffee for our meetings, and she brought panettone this evening, so be sure you grab some. And we're always looking for volunteers to bring cookies or a snack for the next meeting. So if there's anyone here that would like to volunteer for cookies for October, please just let me know. And have a great evening and welcome back.